Hello, everyone, and welcome to this semester. My name is Mithun Gautam. I know that's an unusual name, and so I'd like to help you with my pronunciation. Mithun is pronounced very similar to the mitten that you wear in your hand. Gotham is pronounced like the city in Batman. I prefer to be called by my first name. I am an assistant teaching professor in the MMA department at Illinois Tech, and I've been teaching computational mechanics, dynamics, system analysis and controls. And of late, I've started teaching MechLab 1. So all of these courses, they deal with really the understanding of the real world. In 350, we looked at how complicated systems that don't have analytical solutions, how do you really approach them using engineering tools, numerical methods, where you can find solutions that are useful. In dynamics, we looked at how systems and objects interact with the real world and change based on their constraints and how do they move. While in 443 system analysis and controls, we looked at how we can understand the behavior of these systems and have some mathematical expressions with which we can then characterize these systems and then control it to do what we want. In 319, it was mostly related to how the real experimental outcomes of the real world differ from the analytical expressions that we have for their behavior and how we can understand why these differences exist. Last semester, I also taught the iPro. It's related to the Formula SAE competition, which, if you know, and I'll actually speak about this a little bit, it deals with developing a race car for a student motorsport competition. And here we looked at uh, developing a battery system from first principles, modeling the thermal behavior, developing safety systems. And in fact, this project won the award at the Innovation Day, I think 2 weeks ago. And I'm a big proponent of project-based learning. I also have an offering next semester related to integrated drone systems engineering, which I think will be really cool, where you learn the real reasons for why you're learning the theory in a way that is directly related to the outcomes as an engineer. All of this doesn't really tell you who I am, so a little bit about myself. I did my undergrad back in India in production engineering, and during that period of time, I fell in love with, student motorsports and project-based learning. So there's me at the Baja SAE competition. This was an off-road race car development project. Um, we went straight to UK after that, which was a very ambitious undertaking. We developed this Formula SAE race car. And that's me over here back when I was quite young. um, this was a very influential experience for me, and I learned how much of an impact your engineering lessons actually have in developing systems that uh, relate to these definitive projects and competitions where you have quantitative results from the decisions that you actually make. Based on all of these experiences, I went on to work with Honda R&D, where I developed exhaust systems from all the way from conception of a new design, from your mind to actually building the motorcycle, having the exhausts comply with the local emissions requirements. Um, Developed a race engine for a competition that was in India. And I was also responsible for in-house prototyping of exhaust systems. In this period, I decided to do a master's in design engineering. This was at while I was simultaneously employed by Honda. In that period, I worked on the same motorcycle that I had helped conceive, where previously it was a rear-engined motorcycle, and there was a space in between over here. I decided to add a battery and control system architecture here so that the front wheel can be driven by a motor. And this Frankenstein design is what I built in-house and tested, and it was a lot of fun. In that period, I was very motivated to work on advanced combustion, and so I had this idea for a homogeneous charge compression ignition engine, which is essentially the idea relates to having diesel level performance and efficiency while remaining quite efficient and clean. Well, I should say efficiency comes with diesel performance, but gasoline engines are more clean. And so I wanted to combine both of them in this new technology. But at the forefront of that research was America. And so I moved here in 2018 to do my master's in mechanical engineering, during which period of time I was a TA and I kind of fell in love with teaching. And to pursue that, I decided to do a PhD in a more generic domain, which didn't directly correlate with one particular technology. And so I worked on optimization in something that I felt was more relevant for the future. And so optimization of robotic fleets for manufacturing and so on. Um, a little bit more about myself. I love motorcycles. This is me in the Himalayas. I love all things automotive. So these are some of the cars I've had. I have an electric car that has been a great lesson in managing range anxiety. I also have this wagon that I sold recently. Yeah, these are the cars that I have currently. This BMW in particular is one of my favorites. It has a 258,000-mile engine right now, and it still runs like a top. So I'm very proud of what I've been doing with this vehicle. So with that, let's get back to the learning aspect. Most importantly, learning takes effort. If something comes to you very easily, it's quite likely that you're already very familiar with it. And if you're really advancing your ability in any skill, it does take effort, and that is going to be uncomfortable. And so when you do feel that discomfort with actually solving a new problem or thinking about a new approach to solving a problem, you should sit with that discomfort and work your way through, because that is where the learning actually happens. So it's very important to be cognizant of this fact. And if you simply try to read through the material in this course and not actually put pen to paper or, I don't know, coding, and actually do something yourself and experience that discomfort, you will not actually be learning. So that's something really important to keep in mind. Um, the other thing is that as humans, we are very efficient, and that efficiency is not just in your physical body, but also in your mind. And if you learn something, um, your mind has a way of removing things that you don't need if you don't keep revising it. For example, I'm pretty certain you don't remember exactly what you had for breakfast 7 days ago, or maybe even 3 days ago, because that information is not that relevant and you haven't tried to retrieve that information. And so anything that you don't keep trying to retrieve, your mind, being as efficient as it is, will try to discard that information. And so this here is modeled as the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve, where let's say that you exit the classroom or you exit this video recording and you retain 100% of everything that was taught to you, which is unlikely, but let's say it's 100%. Within the very first day, you would have forgotten about 50% of it if you try to actually evaluate yourself honestly. But when you revise the material on the first day, then let's say you bring it back up to 100%. In 5 days, you would have forgotten maybe only about 35% instead of previously the 50%. And now on the fifth day, if you revise again, you can see that the amount that you forget, it keeps reducing. And so this is just the way that our mind works and the way that learning is, stored in our long-term memory. And so we have to be aware of this when we are learning. And so in this course, since it's entirely online, it's very easy for you to think that all that you have to do is submit your assignments and your quizzes and you're done. But in reality, why are we going through this process? It is so that we learn a skill and we become a better engineer. And to keep that as your end goal and find yourself a job that really is satisfying for you, you need to be able to import all of this knowledge into your long term memory. And for that, having a plan to revise regularly is a good idea. Okay, so keep this in mind. The other thing to discuss is that we are aware as students, as professors, as engineers in the workforce that AI is prevalent and it is going to stay with us, and it is contributing a lot to the efficiency and the way that we are able to be more productive. But what you have to keep in mind is that AI should not be replacing you. And a lot of studies have found that the use of AI, it is directly correlated with cognitive offloading, which is that it reduces that discomfort in the actual learning aspect. If you can just uh, submit a question from my quiz and an AI provides you with the answer, then what really is the need for you to learn all of this? And the thing is that even though AI will exist, AI only works in the domains that it has been trained in. And humans, on the other hand, have this really uncanny ability of bringing in ideas from different fields, even coming up with entirely new, probably nonsensical ideas from which we can have progress. And to be able to do that, we need to really understand how the world works and how we as engineers can manipulate it to have desirable outcomes, whether it's profits for a company, whether it is some humanitarian objective. We need to be able to come up with new ideas. And to be able to come up with new ideas, we need strong foundations. And these foundations, they don't come easily. You need to actually work through, spend time, repeatedly do the same thing so that you have an understanding of how dynamics or system analysis or control, all of these things, how do they actually work? You need to be intimately familiar. And these AI tools, they are taking that away from you. You're doing a disservice by offloading that discomfort of learning to AI. Because in the end, the assessments that exist in this course are only meant to be a guide to for yourself to know how you're doing. And we will discuss at length about the actual assessments and so on. But for now, know that you would be doing yourself a disservice if you just offload these thinking aspects to AI. Okay, you need to build that confidence yourself, and that confidence only comes from doing the work yourself. With that, let's get to the material of this course. We will be interfacing using Canvas throughout the semester. When you go to the home page of this course, you will see information about how the class will be conducted. It is asynchronous, as we discussed, based on any requests from students who have internships or are not in Chicago but would like to complete this course. I've made it asynchronous so that it can be done regardless of the availability at the exact time slot of this class. When you're emailing me, please start with this because I do teach other courses and I need to know what does it mean if you're asking me about the second question of the second homework. Is it for this class or the other? I need to understand this. In general, I try to respond very quickly so that I don't miss emails, but in the off chance that I do dismiss an email for some reason, please do send me a follow-up in 24 hours if I don't respond. I do not feel bad. Office hours will be virtual for the same reason stated above. Well, actually, just as shared, students are not in the same time zone and so on. It'll be virtual on Thursdays and Fridays. You can schedule using Calendly. So if you click this link, it'll take you to the time slot. So you can, of course, I need a 12-hour lead time, so I know how to plan the day. That means that as late as 8 p.m., you can schedule these 3 time slots. I believe this as well, you can schedule 12 hours in advance. So if you were to click one of these time slots, you will then be taken to this page. I provide your details and the course number, and you can then schedule the event. And that will provide you with a Zoom link, which is where we will meet. Make sure that you have your notifications on. So I hope that everyone received this notification for this announcement where I just introduced the fact that we will be doing it online. I believe more students most students registered for this class since then. So just so you know, we are going to be using pre-recorded video lectures. This allows you to view them at your convenience. The quizzes and assignment submissions will be due usually on Sunday midnight, so you have the weekend to cover the material if you're not able to over the week. All the assessments will show up here. So right now there is one quiz. Well, there's a survey. That's just free marks for me to get to know you. I just asked about what do you want to achieve from this course and how do you think AI will affect the uh, future and so on. Just for me to know who are you as a person. Soon there will be other quizzes that are posted, and there will be 3 assignments as well over the semester. In discussions here, you can post any question that you have. The entire class and myself, I will be able to see your question and respond. When you reply, you have the option of replying anonymously. Of course, be civil and be respectful towards your peer. All of the material related to the course will be here in the course description, and there'll be one more module that comes up with lecture links. So my plan is to provide video lectures through links in this page. I will not be posting course notes because since there is an online course, it's important for you to actively learn by at least taking your own notes and by having that available to you when you are approaching quizzes and assignments. I've already shared the resources, so this should it will be carried throughout the semester. It'll give you a sense of what we're going to be covering. This may look a little intimidating, but trust me, it is really straightforward. This just makes your life much easier in terms of calculations and so on. You also have these Desmos links, so we will look into what these things mean, but essentially you can click it and play around with different parameters and see what different system settings does to your uh, system parameters does to your system. With that, let's get into the course description. So as discussed, we're using video lectures instead of the usual class times that was defined. I went over this stuff. I'm not going over the exact details of all of this, but the objectives are to develop mathematical models of dynamic systems. We will be dealing with linear or linearized systems since that is more easy to analyze and on a graduate level, undergraduate level, that's appropriate. We will be generating transfer functions and computing the time and frequency response for dynamic systems. I'll explain what all of these things mean. The idea of stability and the nature and purpose of feedback control, which is how you will manipulate your system to do what you want it to. Apply fundamental classical methods for control system design. So how do you, essentially design a control system to do what you want. And performance criteria. In terms of the textbooks, I have listed 2 of them. However, this is not a requirement. Everything that you need in this course will be provided to you in video lectures. Again, make your own notes based on the video lectures. I will not be sharing the notes. Even though that's very easy for me to do, I feel like in the online setting where, the only grading is happening through quizzes and assignments, it becomes imperative for you to actively learn by taking your own notes. Activate your Canvas notifications. Also, activate your email notifications because we want to be communicative. And if I respond to your email and you don't get a notification, that's kind of a pointless exercise. Keep in mind that no extensions will be given. It's your requirement to meet the deadlines of this course. Of course, if there are extenuating circumstances, I will accommodate them. However, there's a very short course. You will be going over the material of an entire semester in, I believe, 8 weeks. So please work towards meeting the deadlines. Again, I'm choosing to have all the deadlines as midnight of Sunday so that you have all the weekend to address it. Always try to finish it earlier, make use of office hours. I will always try to assist you in your success. The assessment is purely based on quizzes and assignments. Both of them will be online. I will make sure that you have at least 1 week to turn them in. They must consist solely of your own work. If you have another student's work or AI directly used or online sources, if it is proven it is academic misconduct, I understand that for AI this is very difficult to prove, and I will not be relying on online tools that ask, I mean, that check whether it is human written or AI written, because that line is diminishing. I mean, it's fading away, and we can never say for sure. But for everything that you submit, it must be your own work. It's important that you provide the process that you used when you submit assignment submissions. So these are generally longer questions as compared to the quizzes. The reason is that I don't care if your answer is wrong. I look at the method, and if your method is good, then you will get full marks. I know that it's very cool for a lot of people to, it seems cool to not show your steps and directly write your answers. You're doing your disservice over there because you're not giving me the opportunity to provide you with partial marks. If you think about it, if the only thing you have is an answer and that is incorrect, then all I can do is give you 0 for that. While if you show me the process and then your final answer is incorrect, I can at least grade for the work that you did. So allow me that opportunity to provide you with more marks by showing the process that you used. I'll always work with you to accommodate any assistance that you need for distraction reduced testing or additional time for assignments and so on, but make sure that you reach out through CDR to get this to work, and I will do my best. In terms of grading, we will be using the absolute scale as shown here. I do not curve, since that would be doing a disservice, especially if some students doing outstandingly well in a poorly designed exam. Instead, my objective will be to design uh, exams that are suitable to the content that has been covered in the material. Well, in this case, it's just assignments. And so you shouldn't expect any kind of surprises. And that is my promise. Grading errors do happen. If you find that there was a grading error, then just email me and I will look into it. How will do that as quickly as possible? Um, this here is mostly about being civil to your classmates and to myself. Be respectful and understand that people are from varied backgrounds, so don't use sarcasm or language that's specific to a particular region to communicate. Instead, be as professional as possible. Um, if you do find that there's been some hurt or discomfort caused to you, either by me or anyone else, you have these opportunities of addressing that. We will work towards making sure that this is a supportive learning community. In terms of generative AI, I acknowledge that it is going to remain prevalent, and it is uh, it's not something that we can just wish out of existence. It is out for everyone's jobs. It's automating a lot of things. How you use it is really important. And as I discussed earlier, you should be able to provide some new ideas and new techniques that didn't exist before. That's where the human comes into the picture. And the only way that a human can do that is if you have a strong foundation. And so, even if AI tools are used to support learning for writing or for brainstorming ideas, it should not be that you copy the words that an AI spits out, because well, one, you have to ask yourself, what is the meaning of your existence in this domain of engineering? You need to be able to analyze systems yourself. So keep that in mind, use it sparingly. I cannot possibly police this, and I don't intend to. This section here is again about being respectful and preventing any kind of harassment and discrimination. Um, you can speak with the Office of Title IX if there are any issues. As I mentioned, I will work with CDR to accommodate any requests that you have. And in case of issues that you're facing in this course, there are multiple sources that you can use. The Academic Resource Center, if you go to this link, you will find what kind of support they provide. There is academic coaching, peer tutoring, and so on. If you are suffering from some health issues, you can make use of this to find an appointment for your health, whether it's mental health or physical. Okay, with that, let's get to the course.